Jaima, thank you
Jaima.
for participating in this nice conversation we are going to have about the meaning of religion according to different cultures. Okay.
Yeah.
So this is an important thing. Now, just yesterday I got a question on Quora exactly about this topic, because on Quora I'm writing. I've been writing for a few years now. I have something like 6 or 7 million views, which is good. And I have about 4,000, 5,000 answers. And recently, more or less all the questions are about these subjects, these topics.
Yeah.
So, the general idea that people have about religion is usually fashioned, on the model of Abrahamic religions.
Yeah.
Because Abrahamic religions have been vastly globalized.
Yeah, they're the kind of more, I suppose, you could say popular, like in terms of people
not
following.
so popular, but they have been imposed at global level.
Yeah.
The Abrahamic religions are characterized by the need to spread and control, and to become the only allowed ideology. What are the Abrahamic religions? What is the meaning of Abrahamic? Abrahamic refers to the name of Abraham, which in the Judaic tradition is Abraham or Abraham, also in the Christian tradition, and in the Islamic language is called Ibrahim.
Yeah.
It's always the same person. Whether this person was a real historical person or not, that's another subject that we can discuss in some other, it's not a primary subject.
Yeah.
Because now we are talking about the ideology, not the historicity.
Yeah.
Okay. Whether it's historic or not, we don't care much. We care about the meaning, the value of the teachings themselves.
Yeah.
But to do that, we need to see the story of this Abraham guy. Why these three religions, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, are called Abrahamic? Because they all recognize the beginning of their own religion with Abraham, this patriarch Abraham, who met this entity that in the Bible is called Yahweh, Jehovah, El, or whatever. And in the Quran is called Allah. But it's always the same personality, because all the three religions recognize Abraham as their founder. And the God of Abraham is the same person, the same God. Three of them worship.
Yeah.
Okay. So, what is the story of Abraham? Abraham was a normal guy, according to the story. Whether it was historically accurate and when he lived, it's another story. But he was, doing his own thing normally, as everybody else in this area. And one day, he met one very powerful entity, this Yahweh, Jehovah, Yahoo, whatever you want to call it, because in Hebraic, in Semitic languages, the vowels are not written, so you can put whatever vowels you want. So let's say Yahweh. Okay. And Abraham met Yahweh, and Yahweh told him, if you pledge, if you make a pact, a vow, to worship me only, and obey me, worship me, if you and your descendants, you and your people, you promise, you swear for yourself and for all your people, that you guys will worship only me, then you will become my chosen people. My own chosen people. I will be your God and you will be my people. And I give you the ownership of everything. You will become a nation of priests, and all the other nations will have to obey you, will have to serve you, will exist only to serve you.
Yeah.
So now, if they accept also to become part of your people, okay, they will be part of your people. Otherwise, they will be called infidels, pagans, non-human people, subhuman people. Untermenschen, goyim, cattle people. This is the basis of all three Abrahamic ideologies. All three of them. And they're very sectarian, all three of them. It means that each one of them, and the subsects, like for example, in Christianity we have the Catholic, the Protestants, and whatnot. Okay. Yeah. In Islam we have the Shia, the Sunni, the Salafite, I don't know what is the pronunciation. And each of these sects are fighting each other. So Catholic and Protestants, you know very well, in Britain, you know what they have done, especially in Ireland and Scotland, because Ireland and Scotland have been traditionally Catholic. So when the king was a Protestant, the king was making life very difficult for the Catholic. When the king was Catholic, was making life very difficult for all the others. Christians. And all along the history of Christianity, especially in the first 5-6 centuries, they had a lot of fight between each other. There were so many types of Christianity that were, most of them were defined as heretic.
Yeah.
The word heretic comes from the Greek hairesias, which means to choose.
Yeah.
So for Christians, heresy is a very big sin and a crime. People were put to death because of heresy. And heresy means choice. Means these people were choosing what to believe, what they wanted to believe and what was, they didn't want to believe.
Yeah.
So, you see, the structure of the ideology of Abrahamic religions is very dogmatic. Is based on faith and allegiance. You have to believe and follow whatever the religious authorities tell you, even if it's stupid, even if it's mean, even if it's cruel, even if it is unreasonable, but because the authority says so, means God said so, so you have to believe and you have to obey. Is this clear?
Hanji.
This, we are not talking ill about other religions. We are not criticizing other religions. This is what they say. You know, it's very easy. You go and ask
you have
any.
To follow,
No, just for example, we are talking about Christianity because, you know, we are talking in English and we are talking mostly for Western people, you know, so in the West, but the Western culture has also spread into India as well. So under the influence of the colonial regime, you know, Christianity was inculcated into Indians, even Hindus. For the last 200 years, the wealthy Hindu families have sent their children to study in missionary schools, Xavier schools.
Yeah.
You know, where the children absorbed a lot of weird ideas. You know, for example, there are lots of Indian Hindus who speak about idols when they're talking about the sacred images of their own religion.
Yeah.
But the word idol means false god. Dictionary. Dictionary. You go to dictionary, especially a dictionary of 50 years ago. False gods. You know, an idol is a false god. So when the Indian Hindu is talking about the sacred images of Hinduism and he calls them idols, he doesn't know what he's talking about because he has been brainwashed by Christianity.
Yeah.
Because if you go to a church, especially a Catholic church, you know, Protestants are, you know, they also don't like images, okay? But, okay, even in a Protestant church, you'll see the crucifix, right? So if you go and tell the priest that the crucifix is an idol, he will get angry. Okay. So, what the people think they know about religion, you know, is often full of misunderstandings and, you know, ideas that have been propagated by propaganda. The word propaganda is a Latin word invented by the church, Catholic Church. Propaganda literally means that which must be propagated. No, translation, what we want people to believe. So, you understand the meaning of propaganda. Okay. Now, after establishing this background information, okay, let's go on and see what the situation, the difference with the Vedic culture and Vedic religion, Hinduism. What is the difference? Now, many people, because they think, okay, connected and reconnected, let's see if you're coming back or not. Let's see. Okay. Let's see if it happens or not. We have some complication due to the internet connection. Okay, so in the meantime, we can see, I was mentioning that in my, okay, and we have, okay, coming back, okay, yeah, we had a blackout.
No problem.
It happens, but okay, I was briefly going to check my book that I wrote in Italian language. It's this one. I want to make the English version as soon as possible. But the idea is the awakening of the Mother Goddess, and subtitle, the rediscovery of the natural religion. And the first volume is a 4-volume work. The first volume is entitled The Natural Religion.
Yeah.
Which is not, it's the opposite of the Abrahamic religions. So we have an introduction, the present situation in the world, the Abrahamic ideologies, the patriarchalism and the war against nature, reincarnation and nature of the soul, the prejudice against the ancient cultures, matriarchate and feminism, integration and balance, licit and illicit sex, the sacred feminine, religion, magic, folklore, universal symbologies, and conclusion. Okay, so in the next volumes there will be lots of stuff about the history and everything. The second part is the goddess in history, and the third part is meeting the goddess, which speaks mostly about Hinduism and the Vedic culture. And the fourth volume will be the past, present, and future, the healing of the planet, the social aspects, New Age, Next Age, and real purpose of yoga, what is a guru, and all that. Okay, so this is something that I think it will be very useful, because the Vedic religion, which is the actual original Hinduism, is the natural religion. The Hinduism doesn't have commandments. It has principles. And these principles are the natural, universal, eternal, ethical principles and the laws of nature. Hinduism is not a religion like the Abrahamic religion. It's a science. It gives scientific informations. It doesn't ask anyone to believe this and that, because it's not about belief. Now, we need some faith in every aspect of life, even in science, even in everyday life. You need a bit of faith to buy a train ticket.
Yeah.
The first time you buy a train ticket, you want to go, let's say, to London or to, some other place where the train will take you. You go to the either travel agency or the ticket office of the railway station, and you pay good money for a piece of paper, which is your train ticket.
Yeah.
You need to have faith that that piece of paper will take you where you want to go.
Yeah.
But that's not automatic, that's not something that you can believe automatically. You need a bit of faith.
Yeah.
You need a bit of faith to actually get on the train, because you need to believe what the conductor says. Oh, yes, this train is going to London. You need to believe that. You need faith.
Yeah.
Because if you go to the railway station and you have a piece of paper and say, what I'm going to do with this piece of paper? And, the conductor says, oh, yes, this train is going to London. And you say, no, I don't believe you. Who says that? Why? Show me. Demonstrate it to me. How do you know that this train goes to London? You're not going to London. That's it.
Yeah.
You can sit in the railway station and argue until you become blue in the face, but you're never going to reach London. Is that clear?
Yeah, no, I do understand. Yeah, you do need faith.
So it's not that you have to have blind faith.
Yeah.
Like for example, you go to the railway station, you have, someone is selling fake tickets.
Yeah.
You need to know who is authoritative, and you need to, have some faith, but that faith should be supported by, maybe other people, logic, reasoning, arguments, or based on the knowledge you already have.
Yeah, like the system, how it already works, yeah.
Yeah, like if you go to the railway station, you've never been on a train, but the conductor or the person you find, is this train going to London? No, it's going to the moon.
Yeah.
It's going to Mars. Okay, maybe, then you go and check on Google, do train go to Mars? No, you still need a bit of faith to believe that train will actually go to London. But if someone is telling you it's going to Mars, you say, okay, thanks, and you find someone else to ask from.
Yeah.
Okay, so Hinduism is scientific like that. It doesn't have commandments like the Abrahamic religions.
Yeah.
The Abrahamic religions have commandments. Christians speak of 10 commandments. But the original commandments, there are more commandments. In the Jewish religion, there are 520 something commandments. For the Jews, not for everyone. And then the Jewish religion has 7 commandments for all human beings, even if they're not Jews.
Yeah.
Especially if they're not Jews. They're called the Noahide laws. So we have the Noahide laws, we have the Decalogon, which means the 10 sentences that the Christians are supposed to follow, and then we have the 525 whatever commandments that the Jews have to follow. And among these 500 plus commandments the Jews have to follow, they're called mitzvah. Mitzvah means commandment, means religious obligation. Something you have to do, you have to obey. Okay. One of these is that you as a regular person should not wear clothes made of 2 different types of material. Why? If you go and ask the scholars, the Jewish scholars, and the real academics, people who actually have the knowledge, they will tell you that this commandment is for the general people that should distinguish themselves from the priests, because the priests are actually commanded to wear clothes made of 2 different materials. So you make the distinction between the priests and the ordinary people who have different duties and different rights.
Yeah. And that was one way of distinguishing, I guess.
Exactly. It's like, in the Middle Ages, the Christian priests and monks were shaving a part of the head.
Yeah.
And that is just to distinguish one from another. Another commandment in the Jewish Bible is that women cannot dress like men and men cannot dress like women. Why? To distinguish which one. Because men and women in the Jewish and Abrahamic religions in general, they have very different rights and duties.
Yeah.
And for example, another commandment for Jews is that you should not eat pig meat.
Yeah.
But you can eat cows, you can eat a lot of other, animals, no problem. Why? Because the pigs are, have the tendency to be dirty.
Yeah.
If you go in places where they don't have a sewage system, covered sewage system, you'll find the pigs are very happy swimming in the sewage, in the sewers.
Yeah.
Because they like stool, they like to eat stool.
Yeah.
So if you are associated with pigs, pigs are associated with stool, and it's not very hygienic.
No.
But it has nothing to do with compassion. Now, in the Vedic system, in the Hindu system, one is encouraged to be vegetarian, not because the pigs are dirty or this or that. It's because the principles, the four basic principles of natural ethics, one is honesty and another is compassion.
Yeah.
So, Hindus, or people who know the Vedic science, follow the general, universal, eternal principle of humanity, of conscience, that animal doesn't like to be killed.
Yeah.
And human beings don't need to eat animals. So, like, for example, here we have, this is what nature, what the universe, what God, if we want to say, because God is the nature, God is the universe. Yeah. Okay, there is no separate old man in a night dress sitting on a cloud, that doesn't exist. Okay.
Yeah.
God is existence. God is the world, the universe. Okay. So nature. So let's see what are the characteristics, physiological characteristics of the different types of bodies. The human body is not a body of a carnivore. Especially look at the teeth. So a carnivore can actually kill, a tiger, like we see here a tiger or a cheetah. I don't know what animal is that, but it's definitely, a big cat.
It's not displayed, Mataji. It's not displayed on the...
Oh, sorry, because it's, when the line fell, the screen sharing went to potty. Yeah. Okay, let's see. Where is the screen sharing? Okay. Well, you can see here. Okay, one sec. Here. Sorry.
No problem. Oh, here we go.
Yeah, that happens. Stuff happens. Okay. I don't know why it's showing me all the stupid thing in the bottom, but it's okay. So we just focus on the table here. We can see the difference of the teeth. The carnivore in this picture is obviously a big cat. Could be a tiger, a cheetah, a leopard, whatever, But it has very specific teeth. And this big cat can easily kill even a big animal like a cow or a human being. Just with its teeth. Doesn't need, guns or spears and bow and arrows or whatever. Just the teeth are okay. Yay. So, a real carnivore walks in four paws and have four paws with claws. Now, the claws of human beings are not exactly the same. And the mouth opening of a carnivore is much bigger than a human. It can open more than 45 degrees.
Yeah.
Then we go low blade-shaped molars, short and pointed incisors. You know the names of the teeth, right? So
not all of them, actually.
the ones, okay, I'm going to show the arrow. These are called the incisors, which are very useful when you are a frugivorous animal. You eat fruits mostly, because you have to, you bite the fruit. But a carnivorous animal doesn't bite fruits. Okay, so this goes into the jugular. It's a canine, canine tooth.
Yeah.
Okay, the fangs. We don't have fangs. Our canine teeth are not exactly, human canine teeth are not exactly very effective. Even the, okay, let's say. Then we have blade-shaped molars, which are still blade-shaped, means they cut. They have, they don't chew. They don't chew. No lateral or forward mobility of the jaws. Okay. They share swallow without chewing. They have small salivary glands, acid saliva without ptyalin, acid urine, renal secretion of uricase, strong hydrochloric acid, does not require fiber to stimulate peristalsis, metabolize large amounts of cholesterol and vitamin A, sweat glands in the paws, and gasp to cool the blood, like sometimes you see dogs sometimes. Okay, the intestine is from 2.5 to 3 times the body length. The colon is short, smooth, and alkaline. They do not metabolize cellulose, and complete digestion is 2 to 4 hours. Okay, let's see the human beings.
Yeah.
They don't have 4 paws with claws, but they have prehensile hands. Walk upright, mouth opening small. Canines are rudimentary and blunt. Incisors are big and flattened. The molars are flattened. The upper jaw sits on the bottom and great lateral and forward mobility. No share, chew their food. Big salivary glands. Alkaline saliva, not acid, alkaline saliva with ptyalin. Ptyalin is the enzyme that digests amides, starch. The carnivores, they have acid urine, and the humans have alkaline urine. Renal secretion uricase, not secretes uricase. Strong hydrochloric acid, weak hydrochloric acid. The hydrochloric acid is the gastric, the stomach acid.
Which same as a human, isn't it?
Yeah, the humans don't have much hydrochloric acid. The carnivores, when they eat an animal, they eat everything. Skin, bones, and everything goes into the stomach, and the hydrochloric acid is 20 times more powerful than the human quantity and density, concentration of hydrochloric acid. So, they digest.
The other thing is,
huh?
Yeah, so the other thing is as well, like these carnivores, they eat raw meat.
Yeah.
If humans ate raw meat, would it
well,
be...
some humans eat raw meat. They can do. The point is that it's not very strict, in the sense that sometimes carnivores, they can also eat rice.
Yeah.
It's not that they only if they see rice, they are hungry, they don't eat the rice. Okay, they will eat the rice. It's like a cat. A cat is the classic carnivore. You can give the rice to the cat. You can give the milk. You can give all this stuff. But in the same way, you can also give raw meat to humans. There are some populations like the people, the Sami, the Eskimos, and people who live in the Arctic circle, the North Pole, or, South Pole, North Pole, where they only have ice. What they eat. They eat fish and seals, and sometimes they eat bears, or sometimes the bear eats them. But, it's a fact of life. But they can eat raw meat.
I suppose,
But it's not healthy because the life expectations of people who, these populations are 30 years of age. Not because they don't have NHS. Because the human body is not made to survive on raw meat and fish. If you do it, maybe you can adapt a little bit, like the Japanese people, they have problems in digesting the milk because they don't have the enzyme. They lost the enzyme because they didn't have cows on the islands. They were eating fish, raw or cooked or whatever. The Japanese are very famous for eating raw fish. They call it sushi. But they usually don't go and bite a tuna fish in the sea.
Okay.
The human teeth are not made to kill a tuna fish in the ocean. You have
absolutely.
Sushi means someone has to kill the fish and take it to the shore and put it in the kitchen and cut it up and put a little bit of ginger pickle or whatever. The seaweeds.
Absolutely, humans.
Humans are. And also we can go on and see the intestine. Humans require fibers in their food because otherwise they get lots of problems, including constipation. Then they metabolize small amounts of cholesterol, vitamin A, because if they get too much cholesterol, they get problems. The carnivores, they don't have cholesterol problems. The more cholesterol, the better. Then the sweat glands in the whole body. While the carnivores, they have the sweat glands only in the paws and in the tongue. Then intestine is 9 times body length, the human one, while the carnivores is at least 3 times smaller. And colon, lung, circulated axis, whatever. So, and the complete digestion is from 12 to 18 hours. Because there's a much longer digestive system and everything. Okay. This regarding the scientific nature of what a human being is supposed to eat. So, and we have the difference. There are omnivores, herbivores, people, animals who prefer to eat fruits, frugivorous, and the human is very similar to the frugivorous, practically the same, only a smaller mouth, so smaller fruits.
They only eat vegetables, isn't it? Like monkeys.
Yeah, mostly. The monkeys sometimes they can eat meat, but it's much more rare. It's practically only for emergency. Also, human beings can eat meat. In emergencies, it's not a sin to eat meat. It's simply not scientific. It's not what your body needs. It's not what nature prescribed and organized. Okay. Now we'll go and see.
Yeah.
Okay. We have the, okay. No, this is not. This is not. Let's see. Let me close and see what. Ah, yeah, here. And let's talk about eggs. So, some people say, that eggs are not animals. Okay. I mean, eating eggs is not as bad scientifically and ethically as eating meat and fish of animals you actually killed. But these are the eggs. So eggs are either fetuses of the chicken, or they're like the menses, the menstruation of the female birds. They're not food.
Yeah.
Now, sometimes vegans, make a little bit of confusion. They also put the milk together with the eggs. So some vegetarians, they think, okay, yeah, a vegetarian can eat eggs and milk. Well, eggs are not exactly vegetarian, according to the science, because the eggs are the body of the child. Milk is the food for the child.
But isn't the egg, Mataji, before the
fertilization?
See what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. If the egg is not fertilized, you can get unfertilized eggs only if the hen, the female chicken, is a nun, practically locked up in a cage, so she cannot go and socialize and date and find a nice can we say cock?
Cockerel, yeah.
In the original sense of the word.
Anji.
Okay, so but otherwise, if you leave the female chicken going around free in nature, there will be no unfertilized eggs. All the eggs will be fertilized.
Yeah.
And even if they're not fertilized, so no chicken will come out, then it's like the menstruation. Women have menstruations. When they're not fertilized, when the ovum, the egg of the lady is not fertilized.
Yeah.
So it's expelled. Just like a chicken's egg. With the difference that the chicken only has one passage for everything. Doesn't have two passages like women have, or whatever human beings have. Only one passage. Birds don't have genitals.
Yeah.
It's all done through the same opening.
I see.
So it's a waste product. If it's not fertilized, it's either a fetus that you abort the fetus because you eat the fetus before it develops, or it's an excrement. So, bon appetit. Enjoy your omelette. Now, the milk is a different story, because the milk is the food that the body of the mother produces to feed the child. The milk is not the child.
Yeah, I understand, Mati, but with the egg, right? It's not a life at that, like when it's.
Of course, it's less karma than actually killing, an animal who has a completely developed nervous system, so it can feel the pain. But it's the same like abortion. When you abort a fetus, there is abortion or miscarriage. The fetus doesn't suffer that much. because it doesn't have a nervous system yet.
So the Vedic system is against the idea of eating eggs.
Yeah, the Vedic system considered eggs like garbage, waste product, stool. In the vocabulary, in Jagannath Puri, I was in Puri for 25 years like that, and I have been, making friends with the pujaris, the Brahmins, and, because Jagannath Puri is the center of Hindu orthodoxy.
Yeah.
It's like Jerusalem Synedrim for the Jews.
Yeah.
So the most important, like the Vatican for the Catholics. So I was there for 25 years, and I spoke with lots of people. I made friends with lots of people. We discussed about lots of things, and they told me that there are two different words to define the meat and fish that are called Amish food. When you say you're vegetarian, you say you're niramish, means you don't eat meat and fish. Now, eggs, you can still be more or less vegetarian, but you're eating garbage. You're eating stool. When you eat, you can eat, I don't know, hair and nails. You're not killing anyone, but please, yuck. So if you cook it in the proper way and you develop a taste for it, you can also eat that.
Yeah.
People can develop a taste for almost anything.
Well, I guess, Mataji, like with egg, I mean, okay, it's got health benefits because it's got protein and whatever. And
no, there is some protein. There is some protein, there is some fat, there is no starch.
Yeah, I know it's garbage, but like the thing is, Mataji, it's not poisonous or,
No, it's not toxic. It's not poisonous, but meat also is not toxic or poisonous. If the meat has become decomposed, if the egg has become decomposed, if the fish has become decomposed, the toxic part is the decomposition.
Yeah.
It's not the meat or fish in itself. They're not toxic or poisonous.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Mataji, I'm just trying to understand, like with the egg. I do understand that, of course it's not a life. And
it's not it's not developed yet.
It's not developed,
but it's supposed to develop.
Yeah.
It's like you eat a seed. You're eating a seed. It's not a plant.
Yeah.
But if the seed is planted properly, that it will go and become a plant.
I see what you mean, yeah. If the egg is...
There is a difference between a seed and a leaf.
Yeah.
For example. That is why on fasting days, we Hindus don't eat seeds.
Yeah.
Because it's still more karma than eating leaves. If you cut a leaf from a plant, the plant doesn't care. Actually, it's good for the plant. Yeah. Because it will grow stronger.
Yeah.
It's called pruning.
Yeah, 100.
When you prune a plant, you remove the leaves, the plant is not suffering, especially if you cut the leaf in the proper way. You're not tearing it apart, breaking the stem and whatever. Just cut the leaf and the leaf will grow back. And if you cut the leaf and keep the leaf aside from the plant, no plant will develop from the leaf.
Yeah.
The same with the fruit. Fruits usually contain seeds, so it's a seed contained in the fruit that will make the plant. It's not the fruit itself.
Yeah.
That's why many people consider that fasting, you can also, during fasting, you can eat fruits and leaves.
Anji.
You understand? So it's scientific.
Yeah.
We are talking about science here, not stupid commandments, arbitrary commandments. Someone can follow them or not, whatever, depends on you believe that is, you should not eat eggs or you should not eat eggs. It's not like that. It's scientific. If you think that you don't believe in the law of gravity, jump from the third floor window and then you'll tell me if the law of gravity will not apply to you because you don't believe in the law of gravity.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
It's science.
Yeah.
Scientific. Vedic knowledge, Hinduism is scientific. Of course, there are stupid people in all religions.
Yeah.
So, what we call Laukika Shraddha, we call superstition, Laukika Shraddha means popular belief.
Yeah.
Which is opposed to the Shastra Praman, means the scientific facts explained in the Shastra. The original Shastras of Hinduism and Vedic knowledge are not, fantasy stories in which you must believe so that you are a Hindu.
Yeah.
It's a different thing. Okay, so there is, for example, sometimes people are trying to establish, when Krishna actually lived, when Rama actually lived, if he was real. No, but doesn't matter.
Yeah.
What matters is the teachings. If the teachings are valid in themselves, who cares when he lived? Who cares if there are archaeological proof and evidence or whatever? It doesn't matter. It's not, that doesn't mean that he was, it was not a historical figure. But we don't care. Okay, let's go to the other reason why the Vedic culture, Hinduism, doesn't recommend eating animals. Okay, let's see if I can open this. My computer is also a bit... okay. Oh, it opened it. Okay. So, animals are people. They're not food. Animals have feelings that plants don't have. Just like human beings have feelings that animals don't have. It's about the way of expressing these feelings. It's not because animals are not souls. It's because they can express their identity, their nature, their spiritual nature, only as much as their body allows them to. Let's make an example with computers. You still there?
Anji.
Your phone is ringing.
Yeah.
Okay. I was just trying to understand what was the noise. Okay. It's not me. Okay. You want to answer the phone?
Just 1 second, Mataji. Yeah, if you just pause it for a second.
Yeah. Yeah, pause the microphone. So, okay. So, especially in India, where there is a very strong understanding, at least originally, in the original culture, maybe not today because people are stupid about what to do, but in the original culture, the cows especially, and the dogs, are considered part of the family. They are considered like members of the family. They are not considered like, commodities or food that walks around. They are parts of the family. In the Vedic system, that's not only the cows and the dogs, but also the horses and the elephants. Now, people, in general, especially in the West, they cannot think about eating the pets, eating the dogs or the cats, because they live with the dogs and the cats, and they consider their dogs and cats like members of their family. So if someone comes to them and says, "Oh, please give me your dog because I want to make some good hamburgers with your dog meat," of course you will be outraged. You say, "No, go away, what do you want to do? I'll call the police," Now, do you think that cows are less affectionate than dogs? They're more affectionate than dogs. So,
my apologies, Mark.
No problem. So cows are very affectionate with everyone, including the human beings, because they consider human beings, because human beings are taking their milk, so cows consider human beings like their children. If you go around in India, at least you went, because now, cows are not going around freely anymore because of the development, But 30 years ago, 20, 30, 40 years ago, the cows were going around wherever they wanted. So we have photos of cows, nursing, giving milk, feeding, dogs and pigs and monkeys and, whoever, because they are very generous animals.
Yeah.
They have milk, it's okay. Yeah, take the milk. What's the problem? If you treat the cows well, they will show you love and affection more than dogs.
Yeah.
So now we have two reasons why Hinduism and Vedic culture says that it's better to be vegetarian. One is a scientific reason that animals are not the proper food for human beings. Second, animals are not food, they're persons. They have likes and dislikes, they have relationships, they have stuff that the plants don't have. And especially leaves don't have. Leaves and fruits, they don't have a nervous system. The trees don't have a nervous system. So they have perceptions that are different from the bodies that have a nervous system.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have these two reasons why we don't eat meat, and we want to be respected for that, not mocked or insulted or attacked. Like, there are lots of people who mock vegans, lots of so many jokes and, memes and everything. Why people do that? Why people mock the vegans and vegetarians? I've been a vegetarian activist since 1970, which is that 30 plus 25, that's 55 years.
Yeah.
I've been a vegetarian activist for 55 years. For spiritual reasons, for scientific reasons. And we should not even start to talk about the ecological, environmental reasons.
Yeah.
Because to make 1 pound of meat, you have to consume from 5 to 30 pounds of vegetable food. Like soya beans, corn, you know, that you have to give to the animals.
Yeah.
So it's a very non-efficient way to eat, to produce food. It's a big waste. So you have to waste a lot of water, a lot of food, you know, vegetable food, vegetarian food, to give to the animals, to the cows, for example, you know. And you have a lot of pollution, because if you're not using the poop of the animals, lots of this food, you know, gets expelled as poop, as stool, dung. If you use it properly, it is useful in agriculture. But in the factory farms, it's not commercially convenient. So it's just discharged into the water bodies, in the rivers, in the sewage, whatever. So from the environmental point of view, eating meat is criminal. It's creating so many problems for the planet and also for the human beings. Like, for example, you know, especially in South America, you know, and other places where, you know, South America, they have destroyed so much of the forest to make place for cattle, you know, industry.
Anji.
So, you know, when they cut the rainforest, they destroy the environment because it will not grow again. You know, so it's a disaster. And the pollution, how much gas, methane gas, is not utilized properly. If you have cows and you have a biogas system, you know, the dung, the poop of the cows is worth as much as petrol, because it makes methane gas. Methane gas is the gas that you use in your cooking range, in your stove, to cook food. Is the same gas that some vehicles use to go around, methane, GPL gas, it's methane. So we can produce methane gas with the stool of the cows, but we have to put it in the proper, you know, the proper place, proper gas, you know, biogas digester. You cannot just let it go into the rivers and the whatever. You can use whatever is left, you can use to fertilize the fields instead of using, you know, chemical fertilizers or pesticides and this and that. So the cows are not like the chicken. You know, the milk and milk products is not like the eggs. But still, you know, cows are not treated properly today in general. So some people choose not to eat milk and milk products because they don't want to be accomplices of the sufferings of innocent animals. Okay, you know, these people should be respected. They shouldn't be insulted or attacked or mocked, you know, ridiculed or whatever, you know, offended in any way, you know, because they are good people. Okay, so this is the two reasons, two principles that are a good example of the Vedic religion, the Hindu religion. We can call it religion, but it's not a religion like in the Abrahamic sense.
Yeah.
You know, it's science and ethical, science and morality. We cannot absolutely put Hinduism on the same level of Abrahamic religions. There is a, you know, drastic difference. Now, another very important thing is the idea of God. in the different religions. Now, in the Abrahamic religions, God is considered one independent individual who is supreme because he is more powerful than anyone else. This is not the Hindu idea. In Hinduism, God is existence itself. God is everything that exists, is the Param Brahman. Of course, if people don't know Sanskrit, don't know the terminology, they don't know the names, it's difficult because they will not understand. That's why when me personally, my main work is to present the Vedic knowledge, the Vedic, Hinduism in its original, genuine form. Okay, I'm not interested in Laukika Shraddha. Okay, yeah, we can, examine the Laukika Shraddha. Some are good, some ideas are good, some ideas are just, fantasy. And they are not really important, okay? But, the scientific information, the scientific knowledge that is contained in the Vedic scriptures is very important. So it deserves to be studied properly and understood properly. Now, who can teach this knowledge? Now, usually the general population relies on the general information. And the general information is built from different input sources. And one of the main sources of information is the academic system, the mainstream academic system, right?
Yeah.
Now, the mainstream academic system, we know that, let's see, and let's go back to our nice, our nice forest. Okay, we close, okay, all the others, and this, we have seen sufficient terrible things. Okay, so, the mainstream academic system has been established by Christianity, because there were universities, there was an academic system before Christianity, but it was all destroyed by Christians in what are called the Dark Ages. Starting from around the year 400 of this present era, current era, 300, 400, 500.
Yeah.
There, the Christians systematically destroyed the previous cultures that were in the West. One of the most famous was the Library of Alexandria of Egypt, that is said to have had almost 1 million books. Some people say 800,000, some people say 1 million, some people say more. Okay, and we have, we lost the connection. Let's see if the connection comes back. Okay, we have to see if the connection is coming back or not. But, the Library of Alexandria, was burnt. It took centuries to burn it all. Okay. It started to be burnt in 400 something when the university was destroyed and the teachers were killed. Okay, we can see you again. Came back. Yeah, I was talking about the Library of Alexandria.
Okay.
Okay, So it went on burning. They kept burning it for, at least 300-400 years, because the Christians started and the Muslims finished. And similarly, there were lots of other libraries around Europe and around, in India as well, because there were universities in India, before the Muslims came. Those universities, Nalanda, Takshashila, Rajgarh, they were destroyed by the Muslims, and the libraries were burnt. So, for centuries, people, forgot how to read and write.
Yeah.
When the Christian Crusaders from Italy, from Europe, Western Europe, arrived in Constantinople, they found that regular people knew how to read and write, and they were mocking them because they were able to read and write. So, the present academia was created by the church to give their own propaganda, their own version of knowledge. And of course, when presenting other religions, other, cultures, it is, it was not very fair. Of course it presented Hinduism like a bunch of superstitions, like a stupid religion of stupid people. We don't believe them, because we have gone to find the origins, the actual original ancient, texts of Hinduism, and they're exactly the opposite of stupid or ignorant. On the other hand, I have also, especially in the last few months and 3-4 years, I've been doing a lot of research about the origins of Abrahamic religions, and I can make a specific video about that, but not with you because you don't like the idea. But so, but we can, for example, we can say that the Bible, the Old Testament of the Bible, was written starting from 170 before the current year. And the oldest Bible, Old Testament existing is the 1st century of the present era, and it's a version of the Old Testament that was rewritten, copied by Origen, who was one of the early Christians. The next oldest version of the Bible, this one written by compiled and edited, copied by Origen, is the 1st century, and was in Greek. Ostensibly it was first written under Ptolemy in Alexandria of Egypt in Greek, and this version is called the Septuaginta, because Septuaginta is a Latin word meaning 70, and it was it's supposed to have been written by a group of 70 scholars at the court of Ptolemy II in Alexandria, about 250 before the current era. But the oldest copy we have is the one that was written, compiled, copied by Origen in the 1st century of the present era. The next one is the Hebrew Bible, which is called the Masoretic text. And the most ancient copy existing is dated of the year 1000 of the current era. About 1000 years ago only. And it's called the Codex Leningradensis. go and verify. But we are not going to talk too much about the Abrahamic religions. We can quote. We can mention the fact that the Quran that is mostly circulating today was written about 300 years after the disappearance of Muhammad, because one of the caliphs decided that he wanted to have a new, better version of the Quran, and he burnt all the previous copies. So, yeah, right, But the Shastras, the Vedic scriptures, have been transmitted, orally by thousands of people, thousands of different persons in Sanskrit, in the same language, and each version is exactly the same as the previous ones. And there are quotes that are exactly the same. So, but in any case, we are not very worried about the historicity of anything. We are talking about the teachings. Now, the teachings in the Abrahamic religions are fundamentally patriarchal. You know what patriarchal means?
It means like you have to follow this. Yeah, this is the rules. Yeah.
No, it's about patriarch comes from pater, which means father.
Oh yeah.
So a patriarchal ideology, the patriarchate, is the dominion of men over the women.
Oh, I see.
In Abrahamic religions, women are not persons. They're just detachable accessories of a man's body. They don't have a soul by themselves. They're not persons. In the Bible, the beginning before Abraham, when this Yahweh created human beings, he created men. Right? You know the story? No. So then, man was getting bored. So Yahweh said, okay, let's make women. Let's make a woman. So he put Adam under anesthetics, and he removed a rib from Adam's body. And from the piece of the man's body, he made Eve, the woman.
Oh, okay.
So the woman is just a part of the man's body. So she can only be a mother, a wife, or a daughter. She is only a vessel. She is a container.
Yeah.
A detachable part of the genitals of the man. Which you can see more, clearly in Islam. You know what the word aurat means?
Aurat.
Yeah.
Woman, isn't it?
Yeah, but what is the actual meaning?
No idea.
Vagina.
I see.
Nothing else.
Okay.
So, in the Vedic tradition, in Hinduism, the original Hinduism, but because, after 13 centuries of Islam and after 3 centuries of, Christian, Victorian Christian garbage, of course, Indian Hindus have become a bit confused. But if we go and see from the original text, the original society, and we still have archaeological proof, and we have textual proof. In Vedic times and just after Vedic times, there were a lot of travelers, who were going around India, foreign travelers, one of these foreign travelers was called Megasthenes. He was a Greek guy who was a diplomat from the court of a Greek king or governor, whatever, and he was sent to India, as a diplomatic envoy, and he wrote his travel journey diary, and he was totally shocked because women were exactly, they had exactly the same rights as men in India, and there were no slaves, and there was no poverty, and there was no crime. He said, what happened? What happened in this place? What is India?
Anji.
So that was what people were writing in 200 BCE, before the current era. Of course, the situation, there is no real progress in human history. There is actually degradation, because we can see the situation is getting worse and worse and worse. But anyway, so, already, 200, 300 years before the current era, the situation in India was so incredibly good that India became the fabulous land. The land of wizards. Magic, so wealthy, so prosperous, so happy. That at some point people started to think, why we don't go and conquer India? Why do you think that Muslims and British wanted to conquer India? Because India was poor?
No.
No. Not really. In ancient Rome, means the first centuries of the present era, first century before the present era and first century after in the present era, there was one writer in ancient Rome that was called Plinius, and he was a writer, a politician, a scholar, and whatever. And he was complaining because all the gold of Rome was going to India to buy beautiful things, very valuable things, spices and all medicines and incredible metal weapons and all and clothing, cloth materials that people wanted to buy, because they were superior quality. So why India was so so wonderful, so wealthy and happy and safe and with because there was no patriarchal mentality. Because women were free, there were no slaves, and nobody owned people, nobody owned animals, nobody owned the land. So there was no mentality of exploitation. If you go and see the Vedic society, the Vedic social system, nobody was getting paid. Only the Shudras were getting paid. And only the independent Shudras, because the Shudras who were working under an employer, they didn't get paid, they got everything they needed. Brahmanas were not getting a salary, Kshatriyas were not getting a salary, Vaishyas were not getting a salary. The Shudras would get money if they were independent, otherwise they were getting everything they needed. So there was no hoarding, there was no accumulation, useless, fruitless accumulation of wealth.
The
wealth was circulating in all society. Everybody was getting whatever they needed. Nobody had more than needed, because they didn't think it was a good idea. Why should they have more than what I need. It's just a burden.
Yeah.
And this is exemplified by the story of Indra and Vritrasura. Vritra, is the original idea of the dragon. Vritra was, and Asura was, withholding the rainwater.
Yeah.
So Indra went to fight against Vritra and broke the dam, so the rain came to the land, to earth. Yeah. And this is the symbolic for the king that has to, liberate the wealth from people who are accumulating wealth and without making it circulate in the society. So you see the difference.
Anji.
There's a huge difference. Of course, the political religions, like the Abrahamic religions, are based on the exploitation. They're based on the control. They're based on the conquest.
Yeah, it's a difference. I do see the
It's a totally different thing. And the other big thing, because the patriarchal mentality, ideology, is against nature. Women are a part of nature. The earth is a part of nature. So they want to possess the land, to possess women and exploit the land, the women, the animals, the cows, whatever. This is the Abrahamic mentality. And it is very clearly written in the scriptures. In the beginning of creation, Yahweh, is telling Adam, is telling the first man, go multiply, make as many children as possible, and fill the earth up and dominate the earth. Because the earth belongs to you. You can do with the earth and the animals and the other peoples whatever you want. So this is not exactly the point. So, in my book here, the chapter about the Abrahamic ideologies, I am quoting the historian Lynn Townsend White Jr., who gave a lecture in 1966 at the American Association for the Advancement of Science about the environmental damage caused by technology. And he said that the root of the present environmental crisis is a religious reason, which is the attitude against nature created by Christianity. He said exactly, both our present science and our present technology are so tinctured with orthodox Christian arrogance toward nature that no solution for our ecological crisis can be expected from them alone. Since the roots of our trouble are so largely religious, the remedy must also be essentially religious, whether we call it that or not. We must rethink and refeel our nature and destiny, which means we need to become detached from the Abrahamic religions and put them, debunk them, unmask them, expose them for what they actually are. So, then we go on about the faith. We have examined the point of faith and the power and the exploitation and the position against women, against nature. Let's go to the chapter about God. We discussed about God, that is not the same thing, the same idea. Let's talk about prayer. Okay. You there? You sit there, huh?
Anji.
Okay. In Abrahamic ideologies, prayer has a totally different meaning. Okay, you want to continue another time?
Anji Mataji, yeah, if that's all right. Yeah.
Yeah, sure, no problem. Because otherwise it's too long. So okay, so we can close here, and if you want, if you can, we can continue. Then yeah, no problem. Thank you, Jai.
No,
Jai Ma.
Jai Ma. Thank you, Mataji. Thank you, Jai Ma.